contains global parameters which affect the entire instrument, as well as some useful utilities. Global tuning and transposing are available, and you can adjust the contrast of the display. There are also parameters for setting the outputs to be stereo or mono. This is also where you set the drum channel. As we mentioned before, the drum channels are 1 through 8 or 1 through 7 plus the channel you designate here. The intonation parameter allows you to choose between various tuning tables. The default is equal tempered tuning, but the 2500 comes with 16 other tuning tables you may want to experiment with. You can also create your own tuning tables. To do this, highlight the intonation parameter. We'll select number 2, Classic Just, and press Edit. You will see a display that is laid out like a keyboard with 12 values, one for each note in the octave. Tuning tables are octave-based. That means that an octave will still be tuned as a normal octave, but within the octave, the various intervals can be tuned plus or minus in 1-cent increments. For example, in this table, a half step is 29 cents flat, and a whole step is 4 cents sharp from being an equal tempered tuning. Once you have made changes, you can name and save the intonation table in the same manner as other objects. Even though the diagram represents a keyboard going from C to B, you can have any note of the scale act as the root that the various intervals are tuned from. Exiting back to the master page, notice the parameter called intonation key. This will be the root key. You can change this in real time by sending MIDI note numbers 0 through 11. Now let's look at the soft buttons. The sample button takes you into the sampler. Covering sampling is beyond the scope of this video. Please consult the chapter in the manual on sampling. The utility button gives you a screen with 4 choices. The MIDI soft button stands for MIDI scope. This is a very useful tool for diagnosing MIDI problems. When you press it, the screen goes blank, except for the Done button. Now the 2500 will display every MIDI message it receives. It shows you the type of message being sent along with the channel it was sent on and the values for the message. Press Done to return to the utilities. Consult your manual for descriptions of the other utilities. Press Done again to return to the master page. The Delete Soft button calls up a bank dialog similar to the one you see when saving or loading. This allows you to delete whole banks of RAM objects or even everything in RAM. But if you would like to delete individual objects, press the Objects Soft button. This brings up a database management tool which allows you to access the various objects in internal memory. You can move objects from one location to another, make copies, rename, delete, or dump via sysx. As an example, we'll select Move. You now see a screen that is identical to the screen you saw in disk mode for selecting individual objects for saving and loading. You can select individual objects and move them to a different bank,